man. All right, boys and girls, welcome back to episode 27 of Blow and Win with the Great Southern Brain Fart. Since being strong-armed into finally giving them a listen, Walking Papers very quickly became one of my favorite bands. And in 2018, the band released one of my top albums of the year with WP2. The band has since had a successful opening slot with Alice in Chains, a successful headlining tour of Europe, and now they're back on U.S. soil touring as direct support for Miles Kennedy. This is my second time talking with Walking Papers singer, songwriter, guitarist, all-around awesome, badass Jeff Angell. So, Jeff, welcome back, man. It's good to talk to you.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, 2018, man, has been a hell of a year for Walking Papers, dude. Like, I mean, was this kind of what you were expecting out of? Or I mean, were you expecting to be this busy?
Well, expectations lead to disappointment. I was expecting to be snorting blow out of the cleavage of supermodels, I expected to snort blow out of the cleavage of a supermodel's cleavage in the back of a limousine while driving from one of my elegant mansions to another. At this point, but by having those expectations, all I get to do is tour around playing, fulfilling my passions on stages across the globe. But I'll settle for that.
That's so funny. I don't know if it was the last time we talked on the podcast, or if it was when we were just talking like just between the two of us. But isn't it funny how because we're very close in age in the sense that our youthful.
I'm not 27. I mean, it's beautiful. Being 27.
Well, I mean, I'm 29, so being 2 years older than you, it's like.
Yeah, it's pretty close in age.
But isn't it funny, how our expectations I feel like when we were growing up as youthful rockers and kids, we're looking at, Metal Edge and all the magazines, and everything is Hollywood, the Sunset Strip, chicks with big tits all over you and whatever, da 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 da. And then you get older.
When you're 12.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're 12, that's important shit.
Are you kidding? It's way more important than how well you can play. But then when you're 45, you're schlepping it in a van and, going from show to show. But like you said, you're getting to kind of live your passions. So it's in some ways there's
these are the tough decisions we make in life. Is it, do I want a sleeve tattoo or do I want a Gibson Les Paul custom? You know what I'm saying? The guy's got to, sooner or later figures out what kind of dude he is, and you follow the path,
Well, so being the musician that you are, I mean, from your perspective, I mean, because I'm not being interviewed, so, this is all about you here. So where did that path start to change for you, where you were just kind of you know what I mean? Where did your objectives and your, everything start to kind of, where did that path fork off for you?
Well, I actually was on that path first. I was always on the, music was always my best friend, but I do think as hormones kicked in and I started growing hair in funny places that I started thinking about other things, and, I mean, definitely, rock and roll opened some doors for me that maybe wouldn't have been open to a skinny dude with no chin and, weird, big, huge nose. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm grateful for that. That just, what is it? The Joseph Campbell follow your bliss thing or whatever seems to be on the table in the dialogue lately. And I think I just did naturally, and for me, it actually, delivered me most of the best people in my life and probably pulled me, created a bubble for me a force field for me to live in, a few times in my life. So I don't know that I've ever been too far off that path, but there's definitely been some times where, I might have got drunk and became more handsome, stronger and rich, but, my reality has always been pretty, based in that, music is more of a spiritual thing to me rather than a means to an end.
Yeah, see, that's actually really cool because, when I think about playing music in general, kind of to echo back to what you're saying, I can remember being 19 years old and, girls not even looking twice at me. And then all of a sudden, you'd be on stage with a band and then you'd get off stage and then two girls would come over and talk to me and I'd go, oh, so this is what it's about. Okay, so this is how this works. You know what I mean? And so.
Well, that's a big difference between you and me, Don, because I don't even remember being 19.
Dude, the senility of being the rock star on the road has kicked in for you at a much earlier age.
No, I don't know about that. I think I was just too fucked up to remember most of that, Or I've chosen not to. It's not to my advantage to say that I remember, so.
It's funny, yeah, because I've been told that I have the most random memory of shit, but I was one of those guys that I did everything in extreme moderation because I think I was I'm not really a control
smart.
Yeah, and I'm not.
You were smart.
Yeah, it's not like so much that I'm a control freak, but I'm a quality control freak, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
So it's I feel like if I was surrounded by people who weren't, especially in bands or whatever, who weren't paying as good attention to the quality control of whatever we were doing, I took it upon myself to be the one to do that. So I was always the sober one. I was the one that settled up with the club owners while my singer was getting hand jobs behind the venue, and stuff like that, but I mean,
that's, you guys tend to do better now, especially in this world. It seems like, these days you have to do all of that. There's no not being everything kind of anymore.
Yeah. So
you got to be a social media master, a fucking, a lot of responsibility laid on the shoulders of, if people are looking to get into music to avoid responsibility, they're barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, matter of fact, it's so funny because, we both remember, the days of, record companies just throwing wads of, huge advances at a band and, getting them on a tour bus and then putting them out on the road on an arena tour and this, that, and the other, and you had a manager and you had this, you had that. And it just seems like as musicians nowadays, especially younger musicians who are kind of birthed into this, it's all they know. But for guys like you and me, in some ways we somehow lucked out in the sense that we acquired enough knowledge over time and paid enough attention to the change in the scope and in the climate of the business or whatever to acquire the things that we need to do so that we could do them ourselves, as opposed to you have to be a lot more self-reliant, it seems, than you used to have to be.
Yeah, definitely, which I think is maybe a good thing. But, it's all risk and reward. I don't, at one point, those guys weren't giving that money away. They were only doing it when it made money. And now that it's not, they're not going to give it away, So it's not that they're the devil. More the devil is just, nature's nature and evolution sometimes is really painful,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, think of the snake that's crawling around on its belly somewhere while some lizard's got legs. What a pain in the ass that must be. I mean, you have any idea how hard it must have been for Tyrannosaurus to go to a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex goes to a restaurant and his fucking arms, he can't reach the, he can't reach the silverware on the table.
My friend always used to say, could you imagine being a T-Rex and needing to masturbate? That would have sucked you. It'd be like, God.
Hey, I saw that meme, but I'm trying to keep this podcast decent. Our mothers might listen in.
Dude, Jeff, if our mothers aren't privy to how we've turned out at this point, I think, there's something wrong, man.
Yeah.
Well, so you had a great tour with Alice in Chains. You guys were obviously, I saw the show in Atlanta and you guys were fucking fantastic. But that's a rough crowd, man. That's a pretty rough crowd. And you guys managed to pull it off.
Oh, thank you.
How did you, how did you go into it? Did you just go into it every night? Just kind of hey, this is our 40 minutes or so. This is a walking paper set. You know, like take it or leave it.
I think crowds can smell fear. You know what I mean? And they can also smell if they're being lied to. I don't know. Actually, that's not true. Maybe, you know, they can smell fear for sure. But sometimes some people are pretty good at, you know, pulling a trick on an audience, and the audience is sometimes never the wiser. You know what I mean? But if you have a good trick, you're probably not afraid. You know what I mean? But I just think in our thing, we're just kind of like, you know, if you're going to definitely walk onto enough stages, to me, it's harder to play to a small, you know, we're going to a campfire and 3 people look at me and go, "Hey, you play songs, right? Sing us a song." To me, that's more terrifying than walking onto a stage in front of a bunch of people.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, when there's a bunch of people there, you're like, "Look at me, I have arrived. Thank you are all here to witness it."
Oh,
Thank
man.
you.
A 15-minute open mic is way harder than like a 45-minute show in front of like, you know, 50, 60 people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Thank God that's over.
Well, so, I mean, was there at any point during the tour, was there any kind of push-pull kind of between the audience and the band? Like, I mean, you hear a lot of times about bands sometimes going out on the road with a band, and they'll be like, you know, in certain aspects or certain parts of the country we did really well, and then there'll be a couple of shows where we were kind of heckled or whatever like that, and like
no, I've never been if they better look out if they heckle me. I got my responses already, and they're going to make themselves look like an asshole real quick. You know, so I've learned that trick a long time ago, and the guy with the microphone usually wins. But
that was a lesson I was always taught. People always told me, they said, "Don, just remember, you're the one with the mic." You know?
Yeah, I think that I don't know, you know, different crowds are different. It's like, you know, audience, you know, it goes back to expectations again. It's like, you know, some crowds really love what you do, but some people don't shake their hands or throw their fists in the air.
Right.
I politely clapped, but I'm not a fist pumper. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you're looking out at the audience and they're not pumping their fists, that doesn't mean they're not enjoying what you're doing. You know?
Oh,
and so,
yeah.
I mean, when they are, it's easy to go, "Hey, they like us," you know, but sometimes you'll see your line of people buying your records and stuff is a lot bigger sometimes from an audience that you might have read them wrong and go, "Man, can't get these people to react," you know?
Right.
And it's a lot of that I think has to do with community and where you're at in the world. Mm-hmm. You know, if you go to fucking, you know, Spain or or Italy, these people will be clawing at you. You know what I mean? But they ain't going to buy shit because they don't have money.
Right.
You know? And but their society they need the release more than someone else. And maybe their society encourages a little bit more, you know, it's not as critical. But then maybe you go to Germany or something where they might be standing there, you know, really reserved and watching you play. And then their society is very, you know, like it's very reserved. But then, you know, they're happy to buy all your records. So it's like, it's just different places. I mean, and I grew up in Seattle, and Seattle's always been a tough crowd. I mean, I think there was a hangover after the grunge thing to where everybody there, you know, kind of has their arms folded, and the only band they care about is the one that they're in, you know. But then sooner or later you'll break through and you'll find your real people, you know. And then if you just keep at it, and then you find your audience, and then it's like it's different, you know. And your audience is often not the people in the scene. It's, you know, just real people that like music, you know. And so going through these places in different places, different towns are different, and they're harder, you know. If you're in Los Angeles or you're in New York like we are tonight, you know, you got people, they have so many things that they can do. They don't really need, you know, you're not going to get away with a 2-hour set, you know.
Right.
But if you go to if you're in the middle of somewhere and they got nothing else going on, you know, they might want you to play 3 hours.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
You know, in Moscow, Idaho, you know what I mean? And then they're loving it because they don't get it all the time, you know. So
yeah.
These are the things that, you know, there's so many variables and all this shit that it's, you know, catastrophizing the performance or trying to mind read and project what those people are thinking is kind of an exercise in futility, I think.
So, you know, with the European
just
tour,
gotta go up there and do the best you can. You know?
Oh yeah. So, like with the European tour, I mean, is that kind of what you're hinting at a little bit in some ways, like what we were just talking about? Is that like was that?
I think it's all I think it's all these towns everywhere in America. I mean, I've seen it on this tour, you know, and so it's like I just don't. It's not. But we're never getting a negative reaction. You know, I mean, some people might not like what we're doing, but they don't tend to like flip a shit. They just kind of, you know, wait for the next band. You know.
Yeah.
Which I think is that, you know, that's a gracious, elegant way to handle it. And, you know, I mean, people are so off of like, you know, it's such a, you know, that's a lot of the world these days. Everybody likes to bitch about what they don't like rather than rave about what they do like, you know. And I think, you know, tired of hearing people whining about what they don't like. Tell me what you like. Inspire me. Don't fucking bum me out. You know what I mean?
It's absolutely.
So, and I try to, you know, I'm a bummer myself. So but I often, you know, if I'm looking at a band that I think that has nothing to offer me, then I'm kind of going, yeah, drummer's good. I like that drummer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I kind of go like, hey, you know, do I like the singer's voice? Instead of going, the singer sucks. You know, I want to go, man, that's kind of, you know, I like that progression.
Yeah.
You know, right, or it sounds good in here.
Or like, damn, that dude's got a great guitar tone.
Or, you know, or you're like, hey, Red Bull tastes good. I'm going to go get one of those, you know. But I don't have to go and make these guys feel like shit. You know what I mean? You know?
Oh, yeah. No, it's so funny.
If it's not constructive criticism, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, you know, it was like I just made a comment not too long ago on my on the Brain Fart Facebook page where I had given an album, you know, kind of a bad review because, you know, it wasn't a very good record, you know. So, but, you know, I didn't go beat the hell out of it, but I was just like, you know what, they're great players, but, you know, I just don't think that the singer's very good. I don't think they have very good songs. It's just, you know, my thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not what I'm into. And I noticed that
that's your job. That's your job, though.
So many people just came in and just comment. I had more comments. No, not at all. They're like a smaller band out of, you know, they're one of these like new wave of traditional metal bands that's been out for, you know, a few years or whatever, you know, maybe 7 years, 8 years.
I mean,
whatever.
A big band like I mean, do they got? I don't know. I think you could punch up. You're allowed to punch up. You're not allowed to punch down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they're not like locals. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so, you know, they're pretty established, you know, in their genre, you know. But what I just found fascinating was that just the general population came in and commented and kind of started conversations, and I was like, you know what? Like, I wish more people would come in and have this same energy and say, like, when I like something or when I say something really good, because it's like, you know, and I jokingly said, I guess I need to start reviewing more crappy bands in order to get people to talk to me, you know, because it's like,
well, that's the world. That's the world we live in right now. People celebrate this fucking tearing shit down. I mean, I don't think it's, you know, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? You know what I mean? It's like, that's the fucking question. It's like, if you're tearing something down, you know, if you're tearing something down because you want to rebuild something better, you know, then go ahead. If you're tearing something down to serve, you know, let everybody know how important and superior and how much better you would have done it, then you're kind of a dick. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like, if it's a person's tearing it down to, you know, if the people are trying to do something with about, you know, what can they do to make the world a better place or whatever, if they're identifying a problem so that they can make some kind of effort in solving it, then hey, go ahead. I don't know. But who am I to tell people do whatever the fuck you want, people, as long as it don't hurt me and my people that I care about. You know what I mean?
That's exactly, yeah, exactly. But
I mean, it is your blog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go.
You know, and I mean, and that's kind
of
what
you want. They have the right. You know what musicians should start doing is reviewing blogs.
Dude, Jesus Christ!
You know, I want to do my review of the 10 best and worst blogs of the, you know, interviews. Dude. Because I guess some part is like, at least you actually did your right. Some people just take your fucking press release and just print it verbatim, and you know they didn't listen to your record or nothing. They just did. You know, copied and pasted that shit, and they're acting like they're, which I'm grateful for because it gets the word out.
Right.
But, you know, are they a journalist? that's a reach.
But I always told people that I said there's a huge difference between, because that was the other thing, is that people always, I guess they think it's a big insult to me when they go, you're like the worst journalist ever. I go, you know what? I'm not a journalist, man. I'm a writer. They're two completely different things. Like, I didn't study journalism, but I'm a writer. I'm a songwriter. I'm a music writer. I'm a, I journal. So really, like, I write. I just share my personal thoughts based on what I am listening to. So when I review an album, like, I've listened to it front to back and like created my own,
good man,
my own opinion on it. And so that's what I always tell people. I was like, if you don't like it, or don't like my opinion, don't come at me with some insult that's just going to make me laugh. Like, challenge me, man. Like, just be like, or like debate with me. Be like, you know what? This isn't their best album, but you should check this out by them. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do that. But if you come up at me and you go, oh, you're some troll that lives in your mom's basement, I'm like, no, man, I live in my wife's basement, so like, you're
I love that.
You're not insulting me, like it's just,
Well, you know what? I actually saw this thing the other day, and I don't know if you were, but did you know about the Eminem Machine Gun Kelly feud?
I know little about it. Educate me here, Jeff.
Well, the Machine Gun Kelly said some shit. Like, he's obviously a fan of Eminem, right? He even says it in his song.
Right.
But he said that he thought Eminem's daughter was hot. And maybe even in a crude way, not like she's an attractive young lady, but he might have said something in a way that wasn't as nice. And Eminem came back at him, and then he went back at Eminem, and then Eminem came back. But I thought the best retort was, he said, you can't say anything about me I haven't already thought about myself. You're just wasting your time. He's like, I'm my worst critic.
Yeah.
If I lose you in the elevator, I'll be right back out. So this is...
That's great.
As we're going down there, here we are. We're on the first floor. It's not a very good elevator, so I don't think we'll have a problem.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not one of those heavily mirrored ones either. Where there's like 20 of you in the room. So
no, this one, they didn't bother with mirrors. They didn't bother with cleaner either.
Well, so how is the European headline run, man? Like, because like you went from doing like 40-minute sets to actually going out and actually being able to do like a full show, man. Is doing a full or longer set any more liberating than playing for like 35, 40 minutes, or is it like?
Yeah, I love doing a longer set. I think that we're able to. I think our band's a dynamic, complicated band. I think we have a lot to what we do, and I don't think that's easy to get through in not even in a 45-minute set. It's like shit. I don't know. I mean, at this point, I think I made 7 albums. We can go from a alt country tearjerker to a punk rock wrist slitter. You know what I mean?
Right.
To a deep, heavy, bluesy bridge jumper, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, so it's like, the only thing we don't do is happy songs. So I guess, but to explore those dynamics in a set is having a little more time to do it is something that I actually look forward to. And also, you get out here, the only exercise I get is parading around like a princess on stage. So it's like, that's right. It's nice to have a little more time to do that.
I always loved your stage presence from the first time I saw you guys. Like you've definitely got you've definitely got a swagger to you, but there's something about having it's weird. It's like there's this fine line of being like confident and being, completely stoic or like being like so over the top that you're like just rolling your eyes, and like your presence definitely comes across as a natural presence. This last time I saw you, you didn't play. I don't think you played any guitar at all because you were mainly just singing. Do you prefer being guitarless on stage so that you can kind of be the front man, or do you kind of miss or kind of?
No, I don't prefer it, but I like to change it up. That's like saying, what do I like better? Strawberries or bananas, they're both good.
Right.
I just want to try different things, I mean, of course, then there is strawberries. You have to pick that little weedy thing off the top, that is kind of an inconvenience. But then in a banana, after you peel it out, you're like, what do I do with the peel? You know what I mean? And then, there's the challenges and you're always looking at what it is you miss from the other thing. But I'm kind of just, I don't know, I'm a fan of having a good time, and it's all good. So
yeah.
I guess what's cool about it is I get to have different experiences where some guys may have never been a front man. They've only enjoyed being a guitar player, and some guys might have only been they never know what the other experience is. And I kind of think I'm fortunate to be able to enjoy a few different ways of going about it, and it keeps it interesting for me,
Yeah, you don't know how many times, like, with me being the singer in my band, singer/guitar player, like, sometimes in my mind, I've wondered, like, oh man, I wonder if I should do the Kip Winger thing and get like the headset mic so I can, like, pirouette around the stage and, but, I don't know. I don't know if that would work.
Yeah, I'd never asked myself that question.
Dude, thanks for stranding me here alone in the desert.
Yeah, that's never been cool. I don't know. But, I don't think there is definitely some limits to that. But then at the same time, it's like, I can kind of wag the dog a little bit if I'm playing guitar,
mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of, I don't know. It's all cool. You just try different things. I think that, sometimes you can't be everything all the time. You got to choose your battles.
So are you touring with the same lineup right now that you had when you were doing the Alice in Chains? Because I know Walking Papers does kind of shift lineups from time to time, get new guys. And you had that badass Southpaw guitar player, here in Atlanta, and the lefty guy as well. Like, and I was just curious, like, by having that same lineup, has there been more of a feeling of consistency for you to where you feel like, like maybe we should stick to this, or are you more of like prefer a revolving door?
No, I think, that's the plan for now. I kind of like to, get a good thing going, but at the same time, I'm happy to make the most of whatever I have at the time, but I'm always looking to have a fulfilling, more long-term thing with that. But, but at the same time, I learned a long time ago that you can't, at the end of the day, you have to be prepared to pick it up and go on your own. You know what I mean?
Right.
If someone's going to, at any moment, a dude could have a baby and it changes his life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or something like that, or a guy could be injured in an accident, or he could get some huge, you get them out here in front of a bunch of people and they get a super gig and then they're gone. But going through the process of learning new things and learning the strengths and weaknesses of a different player is fucking painful. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So once you got guys in there that you give them the keys to your house and, and then they're in your domain and you like what they're bringing to the table and you get, hopefully you can build off of that. It sucks when you build something out and then you lose a guy and then you have to start over, But then again, every time you start, it's like with anything, anytime, all the cliches of anytime a door closes, another one opens, and I think that that's true. Sometimes you lose a little here, you gain a little here, but I think it's all dialectical. There's good and bad and everything. And one person can never be another. Thank God one person can never be another person, because you get these different varieties of flavors to, enjoy. And like, sometimes the best guy to play music with isn't always even like who's the strongest musician. Sometimes it's like who's the most supportive of what you're doing, or sometimes it's who's the most versatile. One guy might be amazing at shredding, but he's got no finger picking. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Or some drummer might be like
kinda
amazing, but like not have any swing. You know what I mean, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's like if you ever tried to eat cereal with a fork, it kind of sucks. But if you ever tried to fucking stick a spoon into a steak, you know what I mean? It's not.
You're the king of analogies, man.
I got analysis paralysis, brother.
Dude, I swear to God, man, you and me could probably talk in nothing but analogies like for like an hour, because I'm the same way. I always have one. Because actually, it's really funny how you were talking about this, because we lost our drummer. Like, our drummer quit 3 days after.
I thought you lost him, like you guys went into a hotel and somewhere, and then you came out. And you're like, where the fuck's the drummer? Like, I lose phone chargers all over the place. You know what I mean?
In some ways, I probably would have. I would have rather have it done that way, but anyway, so it's
like you lost your drummer, like you left him in a hotel back in fucking
like a Tucson,
Warrendale, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like our drummer quit like 3 days after our album release show, and then all of a sudden we were like, "Fuck."
That's a good one. I love that one.
Yeah, we were like, "Fuck, what do we do now?" And then all of a sudden, like this friend of mine who'd been coming out to our gigs for like 2 years was like, I haven't played drums in years, but I used to play drums in bands all the time when I was young, years ago. And, and I love your music. So, if you ever need a drummer, give me a call. And so all of a sudden the drummer quits, and I'm like, hey man, guess what? And he came out and he kicks ass. He's amazing, and so he's kind of taken us to this other level. So it's kind of like you said, like, it was something that as the singer songwriter of a band, like, it's like you kind of, like you said, like you kind of have to be prepared for it, but yet sometimes I don't feel like when that happened, I didn't feel prepared for it, and so but at the same time, it didn't make me feel like I had to put up my guard. It just made me kind of remember, like, okay, dude, just remember, shit like this can happen. And at some point, you might be the only one left, and if that's the case, you got to keep going, and so, it's an interesting lesson to learn along the way.
Yeah. Can and will happen, Don.
Oh, multiple times, I'm sure. So the current tour with Miles Kennedy, like, how is that going so far? And how's the dynamic between, the acts and the audience and whatnot?
Oh, it's great. I mean, Miles, I've known him and stayed in touch with him for a while. And we did a tour. He was with Alter Bridge and Walking Papers and Aerosmith. And that's when we kind of made friends. And then I've always kind of stayed in touch with him, text him periodically to kind of, let him know I'm rooting for him. And then when the opportunity came up, he invited us out. So it was already friendly before we got here, and then now it's just been a good time, good run. He's introducing us to his people, and I think some of our people are showing up too. And so it makes for a good night of music.
And it looks like good rooms too. It looks like you've been playing some nice rooms. I know you guys are going to be out here playing a good room, so like it must be nice to be back out, like, playing some, decent sized venues,
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you never know, it's all take each day as it comes, and I'm blessed to be here. And hell, if this was the end of my rock and roll career, I've still been I've had at 27, I've had a lot more years, and some guys are done at 27. You know what I mean? And here I am at 27, holding strong.
You're a rough looking 27. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, dude, I had to get my stick in there somewhere.
No, that's all right. I like it.
Well, so tell me about the comic book, because this was something we talked about the last time we talked. It was still kind of in the works, and now it looks like it's done, and it's part of part of the Pledge Music campaign. So what's so go into it a little more with me now that it's done.
Well, I met these guys and I knew them, and they were doing a comic, and I was like, hey man, it's like, I got the song. You guys think you could make some with this? I gave it to them. They turned it into a comic, which is cool. And then yesterday the guy contacted me to say that Mark Lanigan asked them to do a comic. so now I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool that, that's someone that I look up to and admire, and somewhere he must have got wind that these guys made this comic and it was cool and decided they're going to do one about something. So, I guess that's, it's cool to see that, people that you respect or look up to are, thinking that the moves that you're making are clever,
So that's a super interesting concept. So is it based on a song, or is it based on?
Yeah, it's like it's just a song, and then it's put in. That's the I guess the plot of the comic, and then they did change the timeline, and the song's a little bit different. I forget, they have a special name to where it's like when you start with the ending and then you go to the beginning or something. But I don't know. I mean, I was happy to pass the baton and let them do what they wanted to creatively with it, and then I kind of just pined in and objected if I thought anything could be better. But they, it was pretty effortless for me.
So how was it?
It's not like I had to break out a pen and draw shit. That wouldn't be a very good comic.
be a bunch of stick figures with boobs.
Yeah.
Or it'd be like in Superbad. It's like all he did was draw dicks. That's all I could draw.
Yeah.
So,
that's all I can draw.
That's all I can do. Sadness, all I can do too is draw dicks and boobs.
Well, that's actually the only place I do draw. You know what I mean?
And ladies and gentlemen, that is for another podcast. So we will go into that later. So, but
well, that's the music career. It's like, it wasn't my first plan was to, do penis puppeteering, but I'm glad that the music thing, it's a good backup plan.
Penis puppeteering.
Some things just don't grow into, the opportunity that you think they would.
Well, so how did it feel to go back and look at the comic and read it after, it was completed? Like, was it kind of cool to see your?
Well, I like the art and what they did for the art, and we used some of the imagery for some posters. But to tell you the truth, I kind of knew how it was going to end. You know what I mean? There was not a lot of suspense in looking at a story where you wrote the ending,
right? Yeah.
I knew what was going to happen next, but I did enjoy the art, and I thought that they did a nice job, and it's cool to see other people have it.
That's awesome.
It's nice. It's nice to see your songs growing to something else. That's cool.
It's such a cool concept, I mean, like you said, it's such an and probably a really kind of like honor to kind of see somebody want to represent your music or your songs in another in another platform of artistic expression.
Very much so. Yeah, that's cool. I'm excited. I love all that. That's what's a great thing about music. You got songs, you got performance, you got recording, you got photography, you got album cover art, you got tour posters. There's so many creative branches that kind of grow off the tree of music. It's a cool, that's what I think what keeps it so interesting.
Of you ever seen those 33 1/3 books? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I've read a couple.
Like, I always thought those were like kind of cool. I mean, of course, some of them are hit or miss, but like I always thought that was kind of like the same thing where they kind of took something, took an album and completely spun, like a soap opera or a dramatic story off of something, and it's cool to see how people can visually and even like in words interpret something that you've created. It's kind of a heavy thought when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. Especially probably only interesting to musicians for most of that shit, but I think that I think there's a lot to learn from those books if you are a musician. But it's like to see, if you're looking at a structure. It's like sometimes you get, you might need to know what's up with concrete. What is up? What tools do you need? And some of those tools are time, and some of those tools are a room or a personnel or whatever. And I think, those books also show kind of some of the, that it wasn't the first time at bat that those guys knocked it out of the park. And I think that's important to a lot of, musicians to like, the difference between, success and failure is just getting up one more time. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. So is the comic book going to be available on tour, like at the merch booth, or is it only available online?
We didn't actually bring it on this tour, but it's available on our website.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And I guess
Which
for
they
those,
just launched some Black Friday deals for the holidays.
look out, dude! I got to go get my Black Friday XXL walking paper shirt.
Yeah, you do.
Because
have those.
I'm a quote unquote big fan.
Yeah, I love that.
Thanks again, dude, for taking the time out to talk and everything walking papers. What's going on with the rest? I mean, obviously we're heading towards the end of the year. Are we going to see a headline U.S. tour from you guys next year? Or are you guys going to kind of woodshed and start on some new stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I know it's going to be cold when we get home, so we'll probably take advantage of being indoors and then hopefully carve out some new material and then find a good time to squeeze that out. And then when the snow melts, maybe we'll find some new tours to jump on. But right at the particular moment, I guess we just did 3 in a row, so we're kind of maybe looking to get home and catch up on some laundry.
And congratulations on the nuptials, by the way.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? I found someone that would actually marry me. Isn't that crazy?
Dude, I say that every fucking day, man. Dude, to that matter of fact, we just celebrated our 21st anniversary, and I was just like, yeah, every good man needs a good woman with a good boot, Keep us in line, man. So, well, that's awesome, man. Well, look, I'm looking forward to seeing you when you guys are here in Atlanta and everything, and thanks for taking the time to chat, man. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for spreading the word. We appreciate it.
No problem, Jeff. Well, look, good luck out on the road, man, and we'll see you soon, man.
All right, my man. Take it easy.
You too.